Formative vocabulary, use the language that caused them to have a certain emotion, because he said this is mildly inconvenient. Mildly inconvenient is different than we're all going to die. Yeah, makes sense? That sounds very simple, but we're doing this all the time in our own minds. We're constantly saying, oh, that's the worst thing that ever happened to me. Oh, my day stinks. I'm a loser. Yeah, why do I always do this? All these kinds of languages, the words that you're saying in your mind, will totally transform the emotions that you have. Now, what's more than that is when you usually feel a certain set of emotions, you usually use a certain language. If you just use the language, it will make you feel the emotions. If there's certain words you only use when you're having a great time, yeah? Certain words, certain even body actions is also the case, you're having a great time. If you just do those things, you use those words, or you do those actions, you automatically feel in a good state. Yeah? When I was a kid, there was a certain song I really liked to listen to. And there's a bunch of times I was flying on a plane, I really liked to take off on the plane. I enjoyed the takeoff. I felt like it was fun for me as a kid, right? So I had the, I don't know, it's just, I always listen to the same song when I took off. So now, anytime I hear that song, it's been a long time since I've heard the song, yeah? Anytime I hear that song, instantly in a good mood, because I link pleasure to that, okay? You can do the same thing with your own language. Every time you're in a great situation, just speak in a certain way, and then use that in the future, and that switches you into a good state. When you're in a rage, if you always say, this is terrible, I'm going to kill him, you're barking at the top of your lungs, right? That's also going to put you in a bad state. So if you're in a bad state, and then you use the language, it fully clicks you in to the negative state. Make sense? Okay, good. Further. Language, we got focus, meaning, action, language. Another one. This is amazing. You might not realize that you do this, but everyone does this. Questions. Everyone is asking questions in their own minds. Now, there's questions in the situation that you're in, and there's something called the primary question. Everyone asks what's called a primary question, which is like, you're asking yourself a certain thing. All the time you're asking yourself, how long, when is this class going to go? When is this class? Is this going to be interesting? Yeah? Yeah? What, some people have the question of, why do I always mess up? When will I ever get it right? That's a terrible question. Whatever question you ask in your mind is going to answer. If you ask a bad question, your mind will give a bad answer. If you ask a good question, your mind will give a good answer. Your mind's going to find the answer to the questions. You don't like to have unanswered questions. So if you ask yourself a question of like, what are 3 things I could do to improve the situation, your mind will tell you 3 things you could do. If you ask yourself, why am I always so stupid, your mind will give you 3 reasons why you're so stupid. You don't want that. That's not going to help you, right? Now, certain questions are good in certain situations and terrible in others. I, unfortunately, put my wife through the torture of having a question which was very good in certain situations and terrible in other situations. My primary question was, okay, what can I do now? Now, that can be very good in certain situations, but terrible in others. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because, why can it be bad? Why is it bad? What can I do now?
Because at certain point you should know what you should do now, or she like needs help and not enough time to explain what you should do. You should know what you should do it.
Okay, that's true. That's true. That means it might be a little bit slow. That's true. But there's even a worse reason why.
No, it's like, what can I actually do? How could I solve the problem? Like, what could I do about it, really?
But is that good or bad? That sounds good.
But you're not using.
You're saying like, what am I supposed to do?
Oh no, I don't mean that. I'm saying the question is more like, okay, what's my move now? What can I do to solve? Like, maybe it's like, what can I do now? What's the next move? It's like the question is, what can I do? What's the next move? Not what can I do? Not like that. Not what can I do? It's like, okay, what can I do now? What's the next move?
You're not thinking of a solution yourself. You're asking her for a solution.
No, it's a question that's going on in my own mind. No one hears it.
Oh, I see.
I don't even realize I'm asking it.
Oh, you don't realize that.
I'm not saying the word out. Most of these questions people don't say out loud. They just think in their minds. The question is going on in their minds. There's a dialogue in your mind where you're asking questions. Yes? Yeah, go ahead.
Did you upset her? You're acknowledging that you did something that upset her.
I'm not understanding. What are you saying?
Like, if you're saying, what can I do now? It's like you did something before now that was wrong.
Sorry, I'm not making it clear. The question in my mind is, what's the next thing to do in life? What's the best action to take now? That's the question. What's the best action that I can take now? Like now. Now what action? Now in this class. Now what action? Now what action? Yeah? So I was asking that question, like, okay, is this classroom set up? Is this the best for this class? Like, okay, move the tables. Okay, raise the board. Get here early. Open the windows. Yeah? Put the toilet paper roll there so the window doesn't close. Yeah? Right? So that could be good in most situations, but certain situations is terrible. Why? Yeah.
Like not being present?
Oh! That's it, right? You're in your head. You're a human doing, not a human being. Sometimes you have to be a human doing, but not a human being. Sometimes you have to be a human being also to be, not just do. So on Shabbos, it used to drive me crazy. I'm sitting there at the Shabbos table like, okay, now what do I do? You're doing it. Just be. You don't have to do anything now. Just sit here. You're with Hashem. You're having a Suda with your family, a meal with your family and God. That's it. Sit, relax, and eat and sing. That is what to do.
This is the bad part of the question?
This is the bad part of this particular question. You had something to say? Okay. Yeah? Now, going further. Now, if you want to change the emotional state that you're in, ask yourself a different question. If your question is like, how am I going to get out of this? Then, that's one thing. If you ask yourself, like, okay, what's great about this? That's a totally different question. It'll focus your mind in a totally different way. You have a completely different emotional situation. Now, I don't remember the exact quote, but I think it was something to the effect of, choose to view challenging situations in a positive way so you can use the most of your own resources. And it's an improper quote like that. It's from Jim Carrey. Great quote. Something like that. Yeah? Like, see challenges as opportunities, because then you can use your resources to solve the problem. Okay? A good question will totally change change the mental resources that you have. Does that make sense? How many people in this room have thought about the questions that they ask themselves on a regular basis?
Can you give an example of a good question? Like, I mean, because we went through what the bad question is, like, why did I do that?
A good question, yes. So one example of a bunch of good questions. What resources can I use to solve this problem? What can I learn from this? What's great about this? You can be specific. What are 2 things that are great about this? What are 5 things that are great about this? How can I use this to help other people and help my family and help myself? Yeah.
How do you do that when something terrible is happening? Like, so personally, like 2 months ago, I got into a really bad car crash. How do I say, it's okay, like, what good came from this? Like, you can't. It's like
Why
not
can't you?
logical. How do you go through like a terrible car crash and you just say,
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Guess what? You came out of a terrible car crash and you look fine. You're alive,
but it
number one.
wasn't,
But you're number one. If it was that terrible of a car crash, the first thing you should be thinking for is that you're alive and thinking,
of course.
wow, I'm so happy, I'm so lucky, and this is such an amazing thing that I'm alive. You know?
Well, if that's like I don't want anyone to go through a car crash, but like that's the first thing that pops up. Like even in the car crash, like you're like, first you're like, please don't, like I don't want to die, and then you're like, oh my god, I'm not dead. Like thank God I'm not
How
dead.
long ago was this?
2 months.
It's very short.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
And
nothing.
then for the entire 2 months, you can't, like you're like physically like and emotionally you just can't drive. Like how do you say like oh, what can I learn from this? Like you can't like.
The question doesn't mean you have the answer. The question is, what is there to learn from this? What can I do to help other people from this experience? One thing you can do for sure, and this is an answer already, but I'm saying like, if you ask yourself the question, you can physically decide, I'm going to ask myself the question. Just practice asking a question. That's a major thing. You can take smaller things also. You can ask yourself a big question like, is there anything I can do, is there anything that came out of this accident that can be positive to help other people? Like, for example, other people that have gone through a car accident, especially a major one, you can now help them probably because you can understand things that no one else can. So you're already in a position, that's already an answer, you know what I'm saying? But if you just start asking the questions and you live with the question, then you'll already be able to, like, you'll be surprised how many answers your mind will provide. But if the question is like, why is God punishing me? That has a value judgment that this is a punishment.
Right, like.
And you guys go, because I'm bad, because I'm nothing, I'm worthless, you know.
Think, like, what did I do? Like, what is this like punishment? Like, what did I do? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
You could ask, what's my best reaction? That's a good question. What's the best reaction? What's the perfect reaction for me? What's a series of reactions? How can I learn from this throughout my life? How can I use it positively? Yeah?
Choosing and we also learned this in the you should be asking why it is happening to you. If something happened to you, then God probably sees.
That could be a question also. Why is this happening to me? You should definitely ask that question. But you should ask it in a way that's good. Not like, why does this always happen to me?
Okay.
Because that's already negative. Like, they say, you know, there's a bunch of questions, like this famous question, like they ask you, there's no way to answer the question properly. Do you still beat your wife? It's a joke, but it's terrible. Yeah? You still beat your wife. Yes, I still beat her. No, I don't beat her anymore. Implicit in the question is a terrible judgment. Like you constantly beat. It's not special. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't. God forbid. Yeah. What?
It's leading.
It's leading. Body question leading. Yes.
So by doing this, like, I feel like, is it like innately? Is it like a human innate, like, emotion to gravitate to something like, why did this happen to me? Like her accidents, like why, you know, to be upset about it. And so by learning Torah, like I'm asking this like seriously, like I don't know, like is it like a good merit to learn what you're telling us and to apply that to your life so that you're getting closer to Hashem, or you're building that relationship closer to Him so that you can handle these situations better emotionally in the future?
I'm just talking about this whole topic, not in a religious perspective.
Okay.
I'm talking about just in a psychological, emotional perspective of how you can maximize your own resources.
Okay, so
So
not
if I'm
about
in a bad
anything
state, in a
about.
panic state, if I'm in a victimized state, if I'm in a state where I feel like I'm alone, or I'm lost, or I'm confused, or I'm angry, or I'm sad, or I have despair, I give up, then I can't use my resources to get out of the problem. If I believe I can't solve the problem, then I won't, even if I could. Right? So I'm just talking about just putting you in a good state where you now can use your resource to solve the problem. You want to get close to God, that's fantastic. You want to figure out what happened, that's fantastic. But I'm saying this is the beginning.
What's the basic? Okay.
Yeah, because if you're just so thrown off by it. I also had a car accident when I was 17 years old. I was going to pay a Shiva cultist, a friend of mine. He was, whatever, his father just moved a NEVE turn. I was driving for not that long, and I'm making a left turn into and I had a car accident. But actually, no one else was in the car. The car was wrapped around the other car. Yeah, anybody else who had been in the car, they would have been very, very badly hurt. Yeah. It's a whole long discussion, yeah, but it took a long time. It took me a long time. But no one told me like such a thing as dealing with the state. Yeah, like, oh, you're in that state now. Do something. So I would do the strange teenage things, which is like to go to the beach at 1 o'clock in the morning in the winter, you know, and listen to nasty heavy metal music, like, and get into the state fully. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't helping anything, yeah? Okay, now let's go a little further. Question. Here's another one. Focus, meaning, action, language. You know what? Because we're running out of time. Does that matter time? Actually, I'm not out of the clock.
Yeah, it's
7:38.
Okay, so we have about, you go to 85? Okay, good. So I'm going to switch over. There's a few more things in this short term also, but I'm just going to leave them out. Oh, one I can't leave out, sorry. The easiest way to change your emotional state radically, yeah, is a radical change in physiology. Change what you're doing with your body, and you'll instantly change what you're doing with your emotions. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you an example. It sounds very obvious, right? Imagine for a moment that you're a sports fan. Some of you are, right? And your favorite team just won the World Championship, or whatever is the equivalent of that, the Stanley Cup, the football, whatever it is, whatever it is. Yeah, we had this conversation.
Yes.
That's right. Right. Imagine that happens. Or you love a certain politician, and that politician is actually coming. You're speaking to him or her. Yeah. Or a band, or whoever you love. Like some person, like, wow, if I could be there, I want to have a chalet in the Swiss Alps. You know what I'm saying? With an orchestra playing Haydn around it, you know, like whatever you like, whatever floats your boat. Like, and you're in that situation, you're like, whoa, that's cool. Win the lottery, whatever you want. Picture that situation. Yeah? The reason you have that emotion of like, I won't do it because I'll hit the ceiling, right? But if you, right? So if you have emotion, just absolute explosive joy, is that the rules in your head have been met in reality. People have rules. I have a certain emotion that I want to have, and I can have that emotion if these things happen in the physical world. Many people have rules that make it very difficult to be extremely happy. Like my team has to win the championship, which only happens maximum once a year. I have to meet that politician, that famous, how do you say it, famous person, right? Celebrity. Hard words game. Yeah? I have to meet that celebrity, right? I have to have this much amount of money in my bank account. I have to win the lottery. Yeah, my husband has to bring me a diamond necklace with flowers and a beautiful note and sing. Yeah? Right? All the above, right? If he does any of those things are missing, forget it. Right? Yeah? He has to snap out of his business reality. We gotta make money, right? Whatever it is, gotta learn. Right? Whatever he's gotta be walking around with an absolute he's carrying my presence with him all the time. And if he gets a little distracted sometimes because he misses the light or whatever, or misses the train, then I can't be happy. People have rules that are highways to misery and dirt, narrow paths to happiness. You have to have the reverse. Okay? I'm telling you two things here now. First thing is, you want to change your emotional state, the easiest way to do it is to change your physiology quickly. If you act in a way that you're totally excited, you have to do it in a real way. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy for you. Yeah? It's got to be real. And it's a little bit weird because you have to be normal also. But you don't have to, I don't know where you live, but people come from different places. If you live in a very, very dense urban neighborhood, right, it's hard to find a place to be private. but many, many houses in the United States and England and other places, very often you're in your house and there's no one else there, depending on how many kids you have. So, my wife and I have 10 kids, doesn't have to be often, we have 3 bedrooms. Yeah?